Hi guys, thanks for joining me this evening. We have got a lot to unpack, so let's just dive into it, I guess, because I'm really trying to keep these shows at 15 or under. So, this is open season on the West Side rock scene between 1980 and 1984, let's say. You know, 80 to mid 80s, 80 to 83, 84 mostly for me. Now, I don't speak for the entire rock scene on the west side of LA, obviously, but I was deep in it, guys, deep in it. It was my stomping ground because although I was a Hollywood kid, I went to junior high through senior year in Santa Monica at a private school. And so Santa Monica and Venice were my stomping grounds. Yeah, I partied in Hollywood and downtown Los Angeles, but I was real comfortable on the west side. So, oh my God, where do I begin? Seventh grade. Nope, not. Let's not start there. Let's start in ninth grade. I was about 14, let's say. Yeah, 14 in ninth grade. So, oh boy. Well, we're going to touch on some people that we may recognize or may not have any idea who they are. Let's start with Terry Nunn of Berlin. 14, I remember, again, West Side, I'm talking West Side, folks, West Side activities, West Side, you name it, West Side. And this would be like West Los Angeles all the way over through to the end of Santa Monica Boulevard, which of course ends at PCH at the ocean, and then down from there, Venice. Lots of stuff coming out of Venice. I mean, Venice High was notoriously kind of, rough and tumble. That's actually the high school where they shot Grease, the front of the same high school. So, West Side. So I met Terry Nunn's house apartment with my girlfriend, and this is just sort of gives you like the idea of how like it all started, or like not that night, but around then. I was only 14. I was at Terry Nunn's apartment with my girlfriend of Berlin, and her drummer, I think it was her drummer she was cohabiting with. And all I really remember from that night is basically there were a lot of 14 and 15-year-old drunks like hanging around her apartment with some rockers. And I'll never forget Terry Nunn flinging the door open to her living room, it was her apartment, and stomping in and looking around going, what did she say? Something, a bunch of teenage drunks in my house, something. Anyway, so that's kind of like the opener, right? There were a lot of places on the west side. There was Club 88, Civic Auditorium. There was, oh my God, there were garage bands, garage spaces, Madame Wong's West, because there was a Madame Wong's East in downtown, which was famous. Oh God. So, I mean, there wasn't as many as Hollywood, but Hollywood was very congested. Like if you were into, Hollywood was just, you're bleeding over into everybody else. Santa Monica was kind of much more sparse, more like room, more elbow room. And then there was Venice, and then you're next to the ocean. So it's a whole different vibe. Okay. Lots of DRUGS. Anyway, so, oh my God, here we go. So, then Terry Nunn, then I'm like really, really, really getting into some heavy scene here. I mean, liquor was so easy to get on the west side. I mean, literally, they didn't care. I mean, they just really didn't care. You could go buy cigars and liquor at 14, and, easy peasy. Truancy was a non-issue because I was always truant. I was about a B plus student, probably because of all that truancy and extracurricular activity, I guess you could call it. But what we're talking about is the rock and roll scene. Well, punk, post-punk, alternative, whatever you want to call it. We didn't really have a name for it back then, actually. It was going down. Club 88 was a hot spot. You can Google it. I actually booked clubs into Club 88 on top of being a customer. pretending at 15, pretending I was like calling from some movie office. I think I said I was in ET and and I got my best one. I had just so many best friends, but my good friend, I don't want to say her name, but she's well into this story. um, so, oh God, here we go. So let's see. Where we? What's that? Okay, that was my son trying to call me. She and I book her band into Club 88, so I'm kind of like, in at a different level. I mean, I'm 15, they don't care. They just didn't seem to care back then how old you were or how young you looked. I mean, honest to God, I know when I say, Grand Theft Auto, I mean, people are like, well, how could you possibly at 15? People take their keys. Well, you can convince your friend's friend to take their mom's keys and then, take it from there. So I hear. No, not so I hear, folks. We all know, not so I hear. Anyway, so then I'm well into it. Like Civic Auditorium, X. I was X a lot. U2's first concert in Los Angeles was at the Civic. There was a lot of action going on over there. A lot of garage bands, like I said, and then a lot of post-punk, punk stuff coming out of Orange County. Now, Orange County was like the Orange Curtain. They live in a bubble. They're not real people. It's Stepford Wives. It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers. But they did have some good punk come out of there. Actually, some good music, across the board. So we would welcome their music and then go home because we don't want anything to do with you. So one of the people I ran with briefly, it was just this kind of like freeway of people that you would just be in the fast lane with, and then you get off at that off ramp, and then you're back on the fast lane going this direction. That's kind of how like friends hung out. One of them was Miss Mercy. Miss Mercy was the GTO. Frank Zappa had a famous, group of groupies that were kind of part of his scene, band, whatever, called the GTOs, Girls Together Outrageously. One of the more famous ones was Miss Murphy. Miss Mercy. Well, they were all. And so Miss Mercy and my female friend, I don't know what to call you, maybe initial A, would just, run Venice into the ground with Miss Mercy. Not so much into clubs, but daytime scenes, like racing her all over the place. And she would just jump out of the car spontaneously. I mean, not jump, but like, I gotta stop here, blah, blah, blah. But what a gal. Her son, this is what she told me. She has a son named Lucky, apparently. I'm sorry, Lucky, if this is, I don't know, whatever. Your mom told me this. That she originally named him Jinx, but she changed it to Lucky soon thereafter. So that was Miss Mercy. She was she was a force to be reckoned with. You guys, drugs galore, and I mean, I'm talking like, of course, pot galore. There were my poisons available. So this period, we're talking a lot of pills and liquor and acid. And so, I mean, I really hate to say, there was acid, but then there was good acid, and there was acid that was easy to get. And unfortunately, I can't tell you, where that beauty, where that loveliness came from. High school. But anyway, so there was heavy, oh God, you guys, yeah, there was drugs, and there was booze. Joyriding was also a thing. When I say joyriding, I don't mean like, oh, we're snatching on people's cars and, running them and stripping them and dumping them. I'm talking about joyriding, like your friend's car, your friend's friend's car, your friend driving his own car, but just sort of like, let's say, being a bit on the reckless side and being, of course, yes, under the influence. I never drove under the influence. I was too smart for that. I was too young. The thrill of what I was doing was enough. I didn't want to be necessarily drunk, when I was doing all my bad boy stuff. Because number one, I mean, I had a responsible streak in me. I did not want to hurt anyone or myself, but whatever. But so yes, it was very much a part of the scene. What can I say? I mean, flat out, I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a big part of the scene. On the West Side, early 80s, post-punk. I mean, I don't know what to call it because there were so many rock scenes going on at that time. It was like this confluence of stuff that had really no name. But joyriding. So there was this place in Venice that when we were joyriding, that was, I don't want to say famous, but we all knew to go there. And it was literally like Venice would kind of go up, Santa Monica would go up and then down, like by the shore, there'd be shore and then there'd be like throughways along here and Lincoln Boulevard, but then it'd be up and then down, kind of like Silver Lake in LA. And one of these up and downs had this nonstop street going all the way from the top to all the way to the bottom. And every street had a lump. I mean, obviously you're going down and then down to the next street. Well, there may have been 6 or 8 of these streets. So the fun thing to do was to go down this street at like 60 miles an hour. What can I say? Anyway, it was fun. Your car flies. I'm sorry, guys. Listen, I started ET, I had just turned 15 and I only worked 11 weeks on that film. So let's just say everything was like open season after the day we wrapped. Okay? Anyway, this location was a blast and a half because your car's flying like down 8 streets and then you have to come to a stop as soon as you can because there's Lincoln Boulevard at the end of the street and you don't want to go into Lincoln Boulevard under those circumstances. So yeah. Mm-hmm. The most fun I ever had joyriding, I'm going to try to dance around it a little bit. Not that it's a huge thing, but I can't really go into details because everyone's going to hate me. So my friend L, young gentleman, who was, man, you would never know. This kid was like, you'd think he was just kind of like nerdy, like brainy, glasses and everything. So he was on acid and he had a beat up BW bug. And we were like 4 or 5 of us in the BW bug. And there was, let's say a very important place, like a big place, it's a place. And it's an important place, and there's different big segments of this important place, these places that exist. Well, there's this huge throughway through these important place, like separation of buildings at the important place. And it's basically where all the loading goes on, docking, loading, and it's like a straight through between Wilshire and something. And so it's a huge, wide cement thing. And it goes steep down and then across and then steep up. It's kind of like the way the loading, the docking went down. Well, L and I and like 5 other people in this bug, he's on acid and he decides to take this through docking place way at, I don't know, 50 miles an hour. And the car flies. It was flying and then it flew again. And it was probably the most terrified I've ever been in a car, but it was also entertaining. So that was fun. There was really nowhere to do that kind of thing, in Hollywood and on the East Side. So there was elbow room. You were by the beach. There was a lot of hanky panky going on the beach. There was like I said, recreational everything everywhere. And it was Santa Monica. So like I said, there was room to breathe. Venice has a long history. There are canals in Venice. And it goes way back, arts, music, Bohemia, Venice Beach, you've heard, Venice High. A lot of the trouble kind of sort of like, trickled over, like trouble, like troublemakers, bled over from Venice High again, where the Greece, it's the Greece high school. But yeah, you guys, man, it's a Pandora's box. I mean, I I hope I used all initials and didn't narc on all of the joyriding on acid through that important place and the joyriding down the hill and all of the club stuff and garage band stuff, and everyone was just doing everything. If they weren't in a band, if I wasn't running around making flyers for some band, or I don't know, it was everything. It was everything that Hollywood was, with just some sea air. Okay, I love you guys. I'll see you next time. Take care.